Here we go.
We're live.
There are 4 people who like it already.
4 people who like it? Okay.
Wow.
So,
You're too tall.
Wait a minute, let's see if...
Yeah, it's just, either you should be taller or you should be smaller. I don't like
Okay, I hope that
imbalance here.
People will be joining us soon. This is a great Vitaly Friedman.
This is a great Avi Itzkovich.
And we are live on UX on Coffee.
Yes, also known as twins. With the same cups and the same outfit and the same haircut.
This is very, very deliberate. And
by the way, this haircut is very useful because you can just wake up in the morning and just go.
Yeah.
That's not what we're going to talk about today, but this is also something we can speak about.
Yes, I agree with you. There's no need
Old man stories.
I have not brushed my hair in a while. I miss that.
Yes.
I miss that experience.
If you miss it too, you can like it.
Yeah, oh, by the way, if anyone watching us, say hello on the chat and we're going to watch it. We're going to monitor here. And basically, we're going to talk a little bit about design, about the upcoming UX Salon conference, and also...
Good conference, I heard.
And also answer questions from the audience. So if anyone has a question for Vitaly, please write it down. Anything related to design or anything about your life, maybe they want to know.
Maybe. Not too personal, although I don't mind. No. But the question is...
Yes.
I heard UX Salon is a good conference. Is it a good conference?
Well, I think so. I'm biased. By the way, here's someone.
Oh, look at him.
Say
Mihail
hello.
is watching. So Mihail is a good friend from Osijek, from Croatia.
Oh, really?
And I owe you an email still. And I'm looking forward to coming back. We're totally hijacking the session now.
Yeah.
Is Harry still there?
What are you doing, man? This is live on Facebook.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was totally inappropriate.
So yesterday, I was fortunate enough to see your talk. You're going to speak in the UX Salon conference about the redesign of Smash Magazine. I enjoyed it, and I think that the audience, you were opening the conference with this talk. And what you one of the things that I got from this talk is that it seems that, it's pretty obvious that the web is very, very similar. It's like designing for the web is almost... All the websites we see today are very, very similar. And from your talk, I felt that you kind of want to change that a bit, kind of make the web more humanized. So can you talk to me more about that? Is there any way to kind of design outside the pattern without people feeling there's some sort of usability problems, or it's not like...
So during the redesign, when we're actually doing the smashing redesign, we had to think a lot about how we're going to achieve a certain feeling or a certain kind of personality in the design. And so one of the main or important things that we looked into is how we can be different without being different just for the sake of being different, if it makes sense. So of course you can just go ahead and be different just because you want to, breaking all the patterns. And there are some examples of companies doing that. And Brutalis design in many ways is, I think, maybe to some degree an attempt to be different just to be different. And that's not what we wanted. And so that's been kind of my journey for the last 2 years or 2.5 years to find out what would be a nice strategy to be different, but in a way that, you introduce a sort of humanity or your own personality into the design. And as you said, of course, I do feel like many things are very, very similar. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you want to stand out, you need to have some sort of personality or humanity in your interface to actually connect with people. And I think that in many scenarios, because we want to iterate fast and we want to get the results very quickly, I feel like we forgot how to stand out. Because if you want to stand out, you need to literally stand out from everybody else. And that means not being perfect all the time. Because if we look into all these designs that we have out there, which have a perfect grid and everything is, just perfectly rectangular or perfectly circular, and every shadow is perfect, right? I think that maybe at some point it would be a good call to avoid this perfectionism and move away to really breaking out of it.
But why? What's the reason?
Because if you want to be memorable, you can't be memorable by being generic. Not everybody wants to be memorable. There are services that just do the job and that's it. And there is a big question that some of you might be asking. Should a website be memorable? Is it important? Is it like, or shouldn't websites just serve their purpose? Like if you go to a cinema website, you want to book a ticket to go to a performance or to a movie, should this website be memorable or beautiful or Can it be just a blank interface with white texture and blue buttons and that's it? And I think that if you do want to connect emotionally, to avoid people leaving right away the first opportunity they have to go somewhere because it's cheaper somewhere else, you need to connect on an emotional level. It's not enough to be good because everybody else is pretty good as well.
So you mean like create some sort of a different than the patterns?
Yes.
To make more memorable experiences?
Yeah, I think kind of creating a
different is emotional?
Different but good. Yes, emotional. So you still have to, take care of the basics. Your functionality has to be there. You have to do the thing that everybody's expecting you to do. But you can also add a little bit of friction every now and again, emotional friction, to make people think that just maybe 2 seconds or so. And then a good example for it would be to pick a very boring element that you can think of, like the title, selection, when you have to select whether Mr., Mrs., and so on and so forth. And just make it a bit more interesting by having 40, 50 options. And one of them could be princess, another one could be baroness, and prince. I always wanted to be prince. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, in your invoice, it will say Mr., right? But then it's a slightly different way of.
You're saying that when you have a selection form for the title of the person, you can write, usually there's like 4, like Mr. or Professor or something.
Yeah.
And I know you always wanted to be a professor.
Yes, so make it a bit more playful.
Okay.
I mean, not every website can pull
it off. But that's like a small little, tiny details that you add into the website, but still remaining within the grid, because the grid is there for a reason. People find themselves familiar with the website. The images are different, the navigation is different, but the grid seems to me very, very templatey these days.
Yes, but there's a
reason for that.
So there are, if you look in psychology, then there are essentially 2 flows. There is this procedural one where we just basically follow a sequence of events that we're expecting. If you think about a search button or search form, there is an input field and then there is a button next to it, right? If you turn it around, that would be very confusing. So you have this very clear sequence of things, mm-hmm. right? However, if you make this button a bit more interesting by adding a little bit of animation to it, or shadow, or maybe some interesting wording on top of search, right? It will still be following this function. It will still be working, but it might introduce this kind of emotional connection that you wouldn't achieve with just having a plain text field and plain button, mm-hmm. right? So it doesn't have to hurt. It doesn't have to break existing patterns. It can work, kind of live on top of it, but it also means that every now and again you might change things a little bit so they're not as predictable as they are. Because, of course, usability leads on top of predictability when we know where things are, search box in the right upper corner, things like that.
But people often say that the brand dictates the spirit of the website. So if we have a red and blue logo, then the website should reflect that, and we shouldn't have any more than that.
But that's fine, it can do that. It's just, it's all about
how do we find the emotion in that?
But there are also other design decisions that can go with it. For example, if you try to find a signature, that would be maybe the shape that you're using, maybe transitions you're using, animations you're using. Maybe it could be the border radius you're using consistently. And it doesn't have to be 11 pixels, it could, or 7 pixels or 8, but it could be just a slightly different and interesting shape, mm-hmm. right? It could also be typography, really bold typography, or really kind of well-designed typography could be also that thing which could stand out, where you have a really nice, beautiful typographic poster style type, maybe, right? Not just the regular, grid where you have content living in the center and nothing on the left and the right. Maybe offset grid or dynamic grid, or maybe 2 grids with a compound grid. That kind of.
We're getting a bit technical, but yeah. But there's some guys. Okay, there's some questions here.
Okay. Yes, Wendell, going to Manila. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Read this question.
I have a question. We're living in a dribble world of web UI. Yes, a lot of this is not realistic, and mostly it's an eye-candy design. Is dribble design good or bad for UI design, which serves its purpose? We're looking at from the position that design should be usable, not just pretty cool with cool animations. I think that in many examples, very good question, Michael, by the way. I think that in many ways, what we see on Dribble is some sort of a perfect view of a problem or an answer to a problem that doesn't exist, where we essentially very often you will see an amazing, smooth, silky animation that does the job well. And I think that in many ways it can also be implemented using CSS and JavaScript, and it should be fine. But at the same time, it's the ideal world that we don't live in. So when we start looking into concepts for design or for development, we always try to not look into what everybody else is doing. Not to avoid kind of predictable design, but to really try to break out of this predictable thinking that we have in our heads. What I mean by saying that is that when we start, we always do this first exercise, and I think that you will actually know it as well. We always try to design without circles and rectangles at all. So what if you were not allowed to use rectangles and circles? What would you come up with? And once you have a concept and you kind of define the core of what you're going to design, you can start plugging back rectangles and circles because they're good shapes to use, right? But it really helps you to break out of this predictability. But when you look into Drupal, well, I like doing it for research just to see what patterns, what people can do and things like that. But it's not necessarily a starting point. And I think that I totally agree with you that in many ways it's just not realistic, and in many ways it is eye candy. But this playfulness, I think that you can also learn a little bit from this playfulness that we'll find there. But I wouldn't add crazy motion all over the place just to have it. I mean, again, if you think about like this bouncy button or so, has this wonderful shiny animation. If you have it all over the place and everything is moving, it's not going to work. It's just one component living on its own.
Any more questions? Because also a lot of it is bad performance.
Yes. But at the same time, I mean, I'm an advocate for performance like pretty much everybody here in the room, I think. But very often design decisions are dismissed for the sake of performance. And I can see why sometimes, but also sometimes I see really strange decisions made. For example, we are not allowed to use textures as a background because it's bad for rendering performance, where the difference is negligent. I would rather have sites that have a little bit more personality than being blank and too sterile and perfect, because nothing is perfect around us.
I think we're just touching the edge of this, because emotional design is a world entire, and I think through maybe coming to your talk in New York Salon, I'm plugging in the conference, people could get inspired to kind of see beyond the usual patterns, and that's the main thing that I took from your talk is this. It's a whole 50 minutes talk about the redesign, the branding of Smashing Magazine. By the way, people, go to smashingmagazine.com.
Yes, and if you hate it, that's okay.
And this kind of, I want to show the people the conference website that we're going to have. And it kind of reminds me, I wanted to maybe kind of get your feedback on this. This is the homepage.
It's really red, I like it.
Yes. Red website, and we go into the agenda. So you're going to start with a Smashing Magazine redesign case study. And then Jonathan Levy is going to talk about the uncertainty, how you turn uncertainty into creative power. And I think this is what you were discussing before.
Yeah.
Like when you introduce a problem where problems shouldn't be. If you make a statement, let's not use any squares or circles. How do we design? How do we use this uncertainty? And he wrote a book about this.
Oh, interesting.
Which is exploring this entire topic at depth.
Then we have coffee.
It's
great.
We have designing for users across cultures. Jenny is coming from Amsterdam to tell us about her experience designing for international websites. By the way, I'm talking, but please, people ask questions, or if you have comments or anything like that. Mark is coming from the UK, I think, to speak about empathetic design for conversational interfaces. Mark is a really great guy, works in Google about solving these problems.
He's going to dance as well.
He's going to do a good dance for us. And we have Talia, who's doing how to design experiences that customers love to convert to. She's like a world expert. She's going around the world talking about this. She's a really great speaker. I'm really happy to have her in the conference. And this guy, Matteo.
I do.
Matteo is speaking about how we can re-examine how we're designing today and perhaps find new ways to design, looking at all the methods today. perhaps as a designer, looking at, are we very efficient at what we do, and how can we design better? Community-based design by Emanuela. She's going to speak about her experience working for Firefox, which is mainly a user-based, a community-based product. So basically, how do you design when the community is affecting your designs?
I like the illustrations, by the way.
Yes, the illustration was done not by me.
Very nice.
They're adding a little bit of flavor here, and Corey is going to speak about the power of metaphors. How do we, through understanding metaphors, how can we present design problems and solve them? Just by looking at the metaphors, it's going to be a fascinating talk. And then the last talk is Scott talking about the engagement. He wrote a book about how do we create engagement. What is engagement? And he really looked into this, and it's going to be fascinating. A lot of things to learn here. I just want to kind of give you a little bit of the...
That sounds like a good conference.
Yes.
People are not lying.
We're back. So, people, you have questions or more. I just wanted to take a few moments to kind of share with you about the conference. I'm looking forward to see you in the coming. It will be in May. If you don't have questions, I'm going to go back to the website.
Please have questions. We don't want to go back to the website.
Yes. It's Friday. By the way, it's Friday in Tel Aviv, which means people are not working. And I'm not sure we are like what they want to watch, right? When
who wants to watch two dudes
when they're
like in black shirts and talking about red stuff?
Yes. Well, it's a Friday in the afternoon, so people are usually relaxing right now and taking their time before dinner with family.
But you tell me, like, what should we be expecting at the conference? Do you have like fancy balloons all over the place?
Balloons? No.
No balloons.
Only great talks. No shakshukas. Just great talks and a lot of learning. And you.
Yeah. So if you can recommend me some shakshuka places in Tel Aviv.
People, great shakshuka places in Tel Aviv for Vitaly.
Yes. Or like pretty much anything. I really love Jaffa.
Jaffa.
Jaffa. Yeah. This is like a perfect place.
About Dr. Shakshuka.
Dr. Shakshuka is totally. Okay, I shouldn't say that.
I want to show you something that you haven't seen. Oops. This is the optimization workshop. So e-commerce optimization workshops. We have 2 workshops on May 7th. And basically, we have Talia speaking about emotional targeting in the morning. And then guess who? It's you.
I'm flying.
I've used these photos. I hope it's okay.
I think so.
So basically, we'll be speaking about e-commerce technique. Advanced e-commerce techniques. Can you tell us more about like this workshop? Maybe
sure.
What is there to know about?
So essentially, I spent quite a bit of time in Germany working with different companies, e-commerce companies, and I was given a freedom to some degree to experiment with different techniques, with different ideas that I had. And some of them perform better, some of them perform worse. One important thing to know, of course, when it comes to e-commerce, that you really have to design around the product that you have. For example, if you have shoes and electronics, your landing pages will need to look different. They will need to address slightly different problems that people have, for example. But also when it comes to checkout, there are certain things that work more often than others. Right? So the most problematic thing, I guess, is to really get a landing page done well, because it heavily depends on the kind of product you're designing. But what the workshop is going to be about is mostly what you can apply to every e-commerce project. Or at least most of them. I mean, unless you have some sort of subscription, it will require something slightly different. But when it comes to the checkout flow, how you're getting from that point where somebody adds something to the shopping cart and then checks out.
But why is it important, the landing page? If Amazon is really successful, how do you justify what you just said?
Well, the thing is, we can't just say, let's do what Amazon does, because Amazon has very different problems to solve than us. I mean, as e-commerce retailers, or as e-commerce like small online shops, we have to fight for every single customer. We have to really fight with pricing, with friendliness, with the storytelling that we embed on the page, and so on and so forth. So if you're Philips or Bosch and you're selling refrigerators, so they're going to be present. You don't need to actually specifically go and advertise for them. Mm-hmm. So you can just put them on Amazon and then you have reviews and you're done. But if you're like a small indie shop and you're selling your books, or vinyls or CDs or whatever it is, teapots, I don't know, then you really need to tell that story. And you need to address that story in a particular way, because you need to really make it clear why your product is good, what goes into producing it, where the quality of it lies, right? So obviously if you're reselling other things, that will be a bit easier because you can rely on the expertise that brands like Philips or Bosch bring with them. But if you're like a local person just selling your stuff, you have to fight for every single customer. And
You
so
have to
you're
create confidence in your
Yes.
website. That's the word,
Yes.
confidence.
Not only that, you need to answer all the questions in a correct way. And that could be anything from the material, from longevity to installation. If you want to buy a ring bell, for example, for your house, you need to actually start looking into not just describing what it does and what the sound is going to be, but maybe an important part of it would be installation. Because if you look into people, and people usually don't have much time for this kind of task. It's not like they're going to sit over the weekend and spend an entire day researching a ring bell, right? They want to just get it done quickly. And so and they will be distracted, and they will have other things to do, and they don't have much time. And so they're not in this moment where they want to read this long read thing. So it has to be structured in a way to address this issue. But it will be very different if you're selling a car. If you want to sell a car, people will sit down and they will spend a lot of time going through different features, maybe playing with the configurator, right? Spending kind of significantly more amount of time, because it's not something that they want to get out of, and done quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dedicated purchase. So, and you need to kind of weigh up, okay, what kind of product are you selling, and then design around that.
Usually you would discount, you would say, well, just let's put the phone number there, and then people can call and ask the questions. Is that also like a part of it?
I think it's really important to, first of all, to really show the product from its best side. And then you also need to really explore and explain the advantages that it has. Very often you will find these huge long stories about everything that the car can do and so on and so forth. And they're really, really long. But I think it's important to create this kind of engagement and excitement. And one way of doing it would be to have a configurator where you can, like a really nice 3D rendering somewhere, in the garden or somewhere in the street, right, depending on the product that you're selling, right? And then you could actually play with the wheels and other things to really make people play with it and convince themselves that they want to buy it. Because again, nobody goes to a car website and just clicks on add to cart button and buys it.
If people buy cars online, they just come to kind of...
Yeah, they need online, like this online experience is mostly for convincing themselves that this is a good choice. Right?
Mm.
And so
That's
playing
also
with
part
options,
of e-commerce. It's not just about purchasing.
It's not about purchases. So this is why, for example, you will find a very low, of course, conversion rate for cars websites. But this is very clear because people don't just click on it, on a mobile phone and here we go, let's buy a car. That's not how it works. I mean, for many people, a car is one of the most expensive things they will buy in their life.
There are other things, but so what I'm hearing from you is that e-commerce is not just about the purchasing. Sometimes it's about convincing people that's a product that they can buy in the store. Mm-hmm. Would that also be a value?
It has to support the customer in their decision making. And most importantly, very often you will find websites that try to upsell and sell really the most expensive thing. But then as a result, you end up with a customer who is not satisfied because they bought something that seems to be quite expensive and it doesn't really do exactly what they need it to do. Right? It does more, potentially, but that particular problem that they want to have solved is not really represented in that product. And so they complain. So you want to have happy customers who recommend you. But these people who are annoyed, they will not recommend you. Right? And of course, in our life today, the word of mouth advertising is also very, very important. This is how you can generate many, many sales.
Would you add to a website like a review system? Because sometimes it could hurt a product.
Reviews are very important, and even bad reviews are important. Because people expect to be able to read what's the worst that can happen to them. And in fact, as most of you will know as well, we always look for the bad comments first before reading the good ones, if we read them at all. Right? So, because they introduce some sort of objectivity. That's like those reviews, however negative or positive they are, they give a product that is presented by the manufacturer as a good product, some sort of real, like it's kind of a test against real life cases, right? So if somebody can testify or justify or verify that it's a good product, then it's much more worth.
And if it justifies it that there's a problem with the product, it's also good.
Yeah, even if there is a problem that could be solved quickly, like for example, if you buy, I don't know, a laptop, let's say, and you can say, okay, it's a good laptop, but I had a problem because I can't use it outdoors. If somebody's using it mostly indoors, that's just a positive fact for them. I mean, if it's cheaper, let's say, maybe that's okay because they're not expecting to use it in sunshine. And maybe especially like here in Lithuania, there's not that much sunshine, so.
Okay.
Just saying.
All right, I think we're running I'm running out of coffee. This is it.
Oh, that's so sad.
Which means we're running out of time. If anyone wants to ask one more question, please write it because we're here.
No, there.
Over there.
Yes, over there.
And no questions for no one. Let's see how many people are watching us right now. 15 people.
Okay, that's nice.
It's not bad. People, say hello. Write something.
They interrupted their life.
Where are you from? What's happening to you?
No, it's just, I think that we are on the audio-only mode.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that note, I would like to say to Vitaly, it was a pleasure to have you to speak with you a little bit about design. I know this is like on tip of the iceberg in terms of...
It's a tip of the iceberg.
Yes. If anyone wants to meet him, come to Tel Aviv in May 6th and 7th. Here, hey, hello. You can read that name.
It's Venceslav Yordanov. Hello.
Oh,
hello.
I think we were on delay. That's why people are saying hello.
All right. Oh, Mima, did you finish all the beer yesterday? Somebody attended our meetup? No, there's a lot of beer left. Are you interested?
Sebastian, right?
Mima.
What's this name?
Sebastian Kulenko, yes.
Hi.
Also, we met at some point, Sebastian, I remember. Okay. Oh, Venceslav, yep, correct. Hi.
This is cool. This is the magic of live. We can interact with people. Did you believe it?
Well, we can interact like this as well.
Yeah.
And we can just look at how many people are outside too. It's more than 15 people.
We can open the window and shout.
And maybe some people will respond.
Let's shout a few things, like a few slogans about design. Like let's educate the world.
I don't think that this is, you cannot enforce it. You can just set an example for it. So.
Yes, you met Sebastian.
That's wonderful.
People, you have questions? Because I'm going to go off.
I have questions.
Ask me a question. Ask a question.
Okay, so I can ask you. So how do you go around setting up a conference in the first place? What's the most important thing for you? What do you want to achieve? Not in terms of actually, essentially in terms of atmosphere. Like, do you want people to be engaged and network, or do you want them to be taking notes, or what do you want?
I think, first of all, as you know, probably the hardest thing to do in the conference organizing is finding great speakers. I think that's the number one hard job, to find a good lineup that would be in that day. Because that's a testament of your work. But after that, everyone should have fun and enjoy and come to learn.
Don't they pay money for having fun?
Yes, that's what we do these days, no? You pay money to go to the movies.
Yeah, but it depends, because I know that the Israeli audience is very demanding as well. So people want to learn. It's very interesting because when I travel around the world, and by the way, the workshop I had in Osijek with Michael, who is here as well, was really remarkable because you can see people really eager to learn. I think it was a really long one too. I was exhausted by the end of the day, but I really feel like there is such a strong feeling of eagerness to learn. And that's sometimes what I'm missing in spoiled places, like let's say if you run a workshop somewhere in the US, just like people always feel like they're entitled to workshops anyway, so they don't see as much value as somebody, let's say, from Osijek.
I think people appreciate, I always feel that if someone is learning just one thing per day for a conference, because a lot of people come and they say, well, I've already worked in this field for 10 years, I know a lot. There's nothing new and I think that if he's actually hearing things he already knows, I think that's the place where he learns the most. Because he gets reinforced that his knowledge is the valid knowledge and he's doing the right things. And he's getting more confidence. So, but you know, if you come to have fun and the great speakers are there, then you know you can.
Then you did your job well.
I think so. Yes.
Okay. How many people expected?
So I hope 700 people.
Oh, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. A lot of people coming from the world. Actually, I'm surprised. Like people from Europe, from Germany, from other countries are signing up, and that's always a nice feeling to know that people are coming from such a far place to Tel Aviv.
So have you set up a nice shakshuka reservation place?
We should have a shakshuka evening with all the foreign people.
I mean, are there actually different kinds of shakshuka?
There are different kinds of shakshuka.
Very different?
Yeah.
We should have like a buffet with like 20 different kinds of shakshuka.
Let me think about it.
Okay. Okay, you think about it. Oh yes, you wanted to get a conference, Sebastian. That's right. Excellent. Okay.
Okay, guys, that's it. Our time is up. Thanks for listening. This is
It's just
been.
half an hour.
That's it. Maybe we'll come back again another time. So,
This in mind, thank you so much everybody for watching. I hope to see you in Tel Aviv or anywhere else in the world.
check out the new Smashing Magazine.
.com.
.com. It's a great it's a great
We have
it's a great website.
Well,
And
it's a red website.
yes, although you can switch it off. It's a little known secret.
Yes,
you can switch off.
can switch it off if you look in the right upper corner.
But also, it's a really a place to be. To get subscribers as well.
Well, we have the membership thing.
Membership set. So
yeah,
how? What
so
is that about?
And essentially, it's so this is like for us. This is the center of the entire new site where if you sign up as a member, you're essentially supporting the communities worldwide. So we are actively supporting local events in Lithuania, in Egypt, everywhere essentially, Israel, and we want to bring in more people to explore and share and what they learn on the web and how they design for the web. And you can also get some discounts for printed books and ebooks and conference tickets. And you also get to see something like this, actually, Smashing TV, where we invite people for conversations, but also for webinars and also for live audits, for example, performance audit, accessibility audit, and these kind of things. So you can see how other people are doing.
And this is just for the members that you get like these this exclusive
So it's like
content.
a big bundle of different features that you are getting for.
And no ads.
Money.
That's the core. Yes,
No
right?
ads.
No ads. So you get to enjoy.
I mean, it's not like we have many ads anyway. But,
Okay.
but your help would be kindly appreciated, yes. We try to make a difference here.
Okay, guys. That's it. That's it for sure. Bye.
No. Okay. Bye, everyone. See you next time.